first angle was, of course, the brotherhood, right? And the fact that it's kind of, you told me you're kind of passing the torch in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess talk to me about how you got started doing, not just a coach's show, but, kind of broadcast stuff in general, and how you kind of pass that off to him.
I don't even know. I was 8th grade year. I heard like there was film stuff in this class and that type of stuff, and it's just something like, I don't know, cameras and video production, broadcast, all that stuff has always really interested me. So I guess I just got in here and started doing stuff and really never looked back.
For sure, awesome. And so, was this kind of the coach's show? How did this idea? So this is your primary idea to start this up, or?
Yeah, actually, I was actually on the phone with Coach Arcel this summer when we came up with it, and he used to play football and he likes talking about it and all that stuff. So we were trying to figure out who we could have as our main guy, and like, why don't we just do Dalton? He knows, because like I know how football works, but I don't know all the technical terms and all that. I'm like, he's gonna know the technical terms and all that. So I'm like, it's our main guy. Let's go with it.
Awesome.
So that's how that turned out.
And you're because I know it kind of works perfectly because we talked about you're the on-air talent, you're kind of the more production behind the camera, editing and stuff. So getting into it, talking about your involvement in it, is on-air stuff like revolving around sports? Is that kind of your thing that you knew you wanted to jump into?
If you ask about anybody in the school, I will talk to about a brick wall if this. I'll talk to anybody. So when he presented the opportunity to me, I immediately jumped on it. Thought it was a great opportunity, and it's fun. I love doing it. I like talking to Coach Carmikle. As he said, I used to play football, so I do know some of the technical terms and stuff. So I feel like that gives me a little bit of advantage. But it does help to have people that I can talk to, like Coach Hartzell, since he is a former coach, to ask questions if I do have questions. So yeah, I like to edit, but I prefer on air.
For sure, me too. That's so talking a bit about, because you guys are kind of the leaders of this project, and I know you've taught people how to use cameras and all of this stuff. How has, because sure you're growing as an on-air talent, sure you're growing in editing and running cameras, but you're also kind of you're in charge. You're the producer, right? You're making sure everyone's doing their job. So I'm talking about growing in that department, because you have more responsibility than just running a camera and editing a video in East.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't even know like how I per se, because I guess Coach Hartzell would say this, that I'm the leader of this program. I don't know. I guess he thinks I do enough for that, but I don't even know how that happened. I just kind of, I don't know, just
Took it upon yourself, kind of.
turned into a leader accidentally per se.
That's how the best ones come about, in my opinion.
Just came in and started working on stuff, and like, I guess climbed up through the ranks and kept doing it and never looked really back.
For sure. Have either of you, like through your time at East, I know you said you kind of got into this pretty early and you just kind of walked into it because everything fell into place. Have you guys, I know because we were talking earlier about there's 3D printing, there's a lot of other stuff. Have you guys tried any of that stuff, or has it just kind of mainly just been this broadcast?
Well, we have tried some podcasting stuff, working on that. This is practically our main focus during football season, because it does take quite a bit to write my own questions, writing questions, have conversations with a coach to make sure we are on the same page before we do the interview. Just a lot of screen recording, putting more overlay over it, such as highlights, graphics, stuff of that nature. We do have a couple of things planned after football season, such as commercials and stuff for community businesses and partners. But yeah, this is pretty much our main focus during football season.
Gotcha. Has I guess talking a bit about, and this can be related to the coach's show or just East in general, but what has kind of been, what would you say the toughest challenge? This is going to be an individual question for both of you.
You can go first.
We played school named Glen Rose, and they're much bigger than us, and they beat us by like 50. So the losses, it is extremely hard to make a quality episode when you don't have anything good to go off of. So, but it has got a bit easier since we have won the last 3 or 4 games. It's got easier then, but the first stretch, I'd say first half stretch of the season was, I think that's the biggest challenge, is just trying to figure out how to make a quality show when the game did not make the right outcome that we wanted.
Gotcha. Is that a bit, because I mean, I remember my first interview I had when I went to Bryant High School. I was a sports editor of the newspaper, and I interviewed our coach, Buck James, and we just got blown out by, I think it was like Fort Smith Southside. And I interviewed him right after the game, and I was so nervous. It was so awkward, and he was gracious and great to me. But is that kind of something you've kind of like, did you feel that as well, kind of that awkwardness, and always probably not, coaches probably isn't happy?
Yeah, well, after that Glen Rose game, I sent him an email. I usually send him an email, or talk to him over the weekend, whichever. And I was like, hey, what do you want to do? Because, I mean, he's like not my partner in this, but we had to use some of that critical thinking and like, how do we want to do the show this week since we did lose by like 50? And he goes, well, and we had another, it wasn't a rivalry game, but it was a big game the week after that. He was like, well, say one sentence about the Glen Rose game and then move on. So that was, I had to use critical thinking around that just so I had a decent show that week. But yeah, I'd say that's the biggest challenge and stuff.
Gotcha. And I'll ask you probably more in the terms of production, though, or like what would you say your biggest challenge?
For just the coaches show, or
in general, honestly.
I would have to say the biggest challenge I've faced while I've been in here is probably last year during COVID. We were optional, virtual, not optional. Like you could pick blended. So it was really hard because we didn't have really enough people. Because sometimes when you're doing stuff, you just need a person to like say run a camera, do something really simple. But when you only have 5 people in class, it's like, okay, well, I guess one person's running 2 or whatever it is. So it's really, that was probably the biggest challenge, is just not having, last year, not having manpower.
Gotcha. And this is kind of a similar question, but more optimistic looking, and talking about how you guys have grown in your time here. And I know you still have a lot of time left in East, but how much, like, what would you say, like, has been your biggest growth? Is it, just communicating, maybe with making those awkward communications off camera, or, a certain, just running cameras in general? What would you guys say that you've really improved on the most?
I'll probably have to say my knowledge of just technology in general. Since I am a freshman, he's been in here 3 years now. 4, if you count 8th grade year. So just learning from him, learning how to use Final Cut Pro, learning how to use Canva, learning how to use all that stuff that we use, and how the communication thing, learning how to write the questions, have open-ended questions, not yes or no questions, because those just don't ever turn out on a broadcasting show. So I'd say my biggest growth is just developing as a broadcaster, I guess you could say.
And you?
I would probably say the biggest growth is learning like the software and stuff like Final Cut and Photoshop and all those type things, and just learning and being able, I think I've grown in being able to like script and storyboard stuff. Like I can see it, because I mean it's kind of weird because like before, I could, like when I first got in here, I can see the video, like what I want, like what I feel like I'm trying to make, but then it's like, okay, how do I display it to everybody else? It's just like, oh well, no, just let me do it type deal. But if I've gotten better at storyboarding it and trying to describe it out more, and like, okay, this is what we're doing, lay it all out, this, like, so everybody else can see it besides just me.
Awesome. And so, final question relating to the coaches show, and then I'll just have a final one in general. So I know you said, when you graduate, you hope to pass it down to him and kind of keep the ball rolling, no matter who's leading. What are you guys' plan relating to the coaches show to maybe expand it, to improve it? Have you guys been thinking anything about that?
Well, since we are in the first round of playoffs this week, I've been looking at some stuff for next year because obviously I want to make it better. Learning maybe invest in maybe such as like a counter table or something to make a better a set. Not really a sponsorship, but a sponsorship that will make it better just because money. But just I guess get more people in on it. You know what I mean? If I do find somebody, hey, I can teach them how to do this, then that takes more stress off me to make the show better. So yeah, I want to pass the torch, keep this going as long as I can. I have 4 more years of it, but after he leaves in this year and then next year, I'll have to find another person. I'm sure somebody will step up. So yeah, just want to keep making it better.
That's probably, I would say something along the lines of that is I want to get more people involved in it, kind of make it more of like a team deal like we have, or like say if we could get some of the football players because they, you know, they're there, they get what's going on. So if they're the ones that could be writing the questions, you know, and then we could have like 2 or 3 of us be the video editing team and they could do all the editing and they would run the cameras and then, you know, he would be the one on the camera, and then we could have like, what was the other one? I don't know.
I mean, I would honestly say if we could find 1 or 2 people to make intros and outros, because we've had a couple intros. If you watch the shows, we've had a couple intros and a couple outros, and I'm actually working on another outro right now that I'm putting in this week's show. Just trying to make it better. So I think more people involved would help the show quite a bit.
For sure. All right. So final question for you guys. And it's more big picture. I know we've talked about it a little bit, and you're a freshman, you said, so you still have plenty of time to think about this. But you have any ideas, or has as East and being involved with making the coaches show and everything, has that really kind of geared you to okay, I think I know what I'm going to do after high school? Are you still thinking about that?
I would be fine with doing broadcasting after high school, maybe some sort of like in college. But my dream eventually is to be a pilot, whether it's in the military or a commercial pilot. But yeah, I would do, if I wasn't in band, I would be more than happy to call the games on Friday nights. I would do it in college. I love it. So yeah, that's...
All right.
I would have to say I've really picked up I guess it's a... Yeah,
bug.
he calls it the bug.
I call it the East bug. That's what I call it.
A bug for love for making videos and editing and all that stuff. So probably through this, probably want to do something related to that, whether it is broadcasting or if it's more on like the commercial video production side of things. One of those 2.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys like to add?
No, not really. Just great opportunity to do this, and it's been
Thank you for coming out here.
All right. Thanks for having me.